What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Mint City Soccer Show. I am your host slash co-host slash producer extraordinaire tonight. I'm here solo tonight, but not really. I've got a special guest here with me. I've got José Nuñez here with us. Jose, welcome back. You kind of become a regular anytime that we talk Philly or have Philly coming on to the show. Sorry, there's no Matt Swift, no Corey Ensko here for you to poke the bear with this week, but you've got me. You can poke the bear with me. But welcome back, Van.
Hey, no, thank you. I've from the get-go, I think you knew this in terms of my appreciation for what Charlotte has done, what Charlotte has produced, maybe what they're producing and cooking this year with some of the results that they're having. Though certainly a lot better than Philadelphia, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But certainly a team to watch, and really, I think most importantly, I appreciate the transparency that the organization shows to you guys and to, folks who want to talk about the sport. I think they kind of understand their place in the pyramid of sports in North Carolina, not so much the union. So it's always a joy to come and hear from you guys and hear what you guys are all up to.
Yeah, man. Well, for those who may be a new listener, I mean, obviously we've got, I was telling you before the show, we've got a little bit of a loyal following here that gets excited whenever you join. But for those who maybe this is the first time hearing you on our show, where can they find you? I mean, I know you do some really great things, writing, covering MLS, sports, soccer. Where can they find you on social media, and where can they subscribe to your material?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate to be able to contract with MLS proper. So I write for the league on a weekend basis, barring a couple of random weekends here and there. So you can find me on MLS soccer.com. If you punch in MLS.com, it's like the realtor spot, actually.
It's still the realtor site. Yeah.
It's still the realtor website, which still cracks me up. Funny enough, I was just in Colorado, Denver and Boulder for like a cool 18 hours tops. And the lady asked me, it's like, oh, so like, what do you do? And it's like, oh, I do this. And then in my full-time job. And then I also moonlighted for MLS.com. And she's like, you're a realtor? It's like, no, not a realtor, not a realtor at all. Yes, I'm fortunate enough to write for the league. I like to think I earned that. And also have my own Substack that I'm not as active as I probably should be, though I kind of reserve that for the break glass, press red button when there's like emergency stuff that needs to go out, like, breaking news, deals, that type of thing. And people are kind enough to financially support that work, which is awesome. I think like 40 or 50 people that do that, which is super nice. And I'm on social media at, I have to always look at Jose R. Nuñez 91. I don't often type my own handle, so I think he can forgive me for that. Really, really exciting stuff. I'm eager for the summer. There's some stuff I'm working on that I'm really thrilled about. Mainly MLSsoccer.com.
Yeah, it's a big summer for sure. And I will tell you, you will know when soccer has made it big in the United States when MLS takes over MLS.com and not MLSsoccer.com. That is when we know soccer has truly arrived in the United States. But we got a big summer up ahead. I mean, I know we're going to talk Philly, we're going to talk Charlotte and MLS, but it's a big summer. We got a good couple next 90 days and for soccer just in general. We're not going to talk about U.S. men's soccer right now because these friendlies are not going the way that I'm sure many people will or hoping. Are you doing anything for the World Cup? Are you going to go to any of the games or travel and cover anything?
So as I understand it, I am going to have a paid assignment for a World Cup game, which is awesome. But I also need to sort out some other stuff that I have in the works that hopefully is, awesome. Somewhat for funsies / my own content. But I think people, again, through the hard work and the exposure of coming on shows like this and sort of, talking ball, I think the way that people appreciate other ears have perked up, knowing that I'm bilingual and whatnot. So that helps out quite a bit. So at least one World Cup game, it sounds like that I'll be there in person, which is great. Awesome. I just need to sort out a few more details and other things. So I'm incredibly excited and thankful.
Awesome, man. That's fantastic. So I'm excited for you. So make sure you keep us posted when that, and you can share the deets for that too. So, but let's dig in, man. So I know last time we talked, I mean, Philadelphia had a really good season last year, and we've texted a few times here and there during the season or off season, occasionally here. But Philadelphia comes to Charlotte with not a great start with Philadelphia this season. So I know we've got a couple of fan questions here, and I'll pull them up as we kind of talk and be a relevant conversation here. But what's going on in Philly this year? They have such a slow start because that's kind of, I don't want to say unlike the Union, but it is kind of unlike the Union, right?
Yeah, I think what a lot of folks behind keyboards or in front of microphones and talking heads that are out there sharing and talking about the Union are forgetting a key detail. And sure, you can look at departures in terms of Jakob Glesnes going to LA Galaxy, Mikel Ua going back home to Europe, Ty Baribo going to DC United as some big drops. But I think the biggest factor that A, helped Philadelphia last year, and B, is sort of harming Philadelphia this year is just that congested start to the season with CONCACAF Champions Cup. To have to juggle going to Central America and or Mexico to play some of these games, and then have a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday schedule. Never mind, finish your preseason in Spain. I think they even went straight to Defense Force to go play, and then came back to basically a day or two of just regeneration, and then a match the day after or 2 days after. It just makes it incredibly difficult to um, deal with. And some teams bucked the trend when it comes to that, because I think that was the nature of MLS, the difficulty of MLS. But you see what San Diego FC did in terms of beating, I think Tigres was a really good team in Mexico, and moving on to the next round. That makes you wonder, right? Is that even really an excuse? Is it more of the departures? And I think you can kind of attribute some of that too, in terms of this is a team that's asking a lot from a lot of young guys. Someone who wasn't quite the guy, and away through Makanya last year, suddenly being tossed into the mixer and saying, no, you're 20 odd years old, and Glasses is not there anymore. You are the guy in defense is maybe a little bit too much to ask out of the guy. So I think putting some pressure on some of these young players as they're developing and evolving. Um, but I would also say, and I would be, it would not be genuine of me to not mention, is this the Bradley Cornell curse in a way, right? St. Louis, hot start first year, goes on to the playoffs. I think even won the Western Conference, didn't win the Supporter Shield. Turn around the next year, and I think ousted pretty quickly after a really hard start. Though I think that was mainly due to actually CONCACAF Champions Cup, but also injuries. So I just gave you a trident of things. Pick your poison.
There you go. There, yeah, yeah. So it's funny because on the last show that we were talking about, I think when Swift was on, we were joking around a little bit that this is the curse of Cornell a little bit. That hey, this is same similar journeys, but it's a different situation. And I think to me, he gained some respect last year, just the way that he really walked into Philly, where I don't want to say expectations were very low, but they replacing a guy that had been there for so long, have a system, have players, have a culture, and then kind of come in and I don't say take the league by storm, but really had a very productive season. And you mentioned earlier, I was looking at some of their results, and you've got CONCACAF schedule congestion already for the Union. Charlotte's starting to see that kind of creep up a little bit now, with Open Cup starting to come up as well. But the thing we talked about in the last episode was like this game could be really, I don't want to say a trap game for Charlotte, because some of the casual fans or people that don't follow Philadelphia or the league very well can see this on paper and go, oh, Philly's 0-5. They haven't even drew a game yet this entire season. And they're coming into Charlotte, and Charlotte just had a really hot game right before the international break. And on paper, it looks like it should go Charlotte's way. But it sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I don't want to say people are under appreciating Philly, or maybe they're not respecting Philly enough right now, even if they're 0-5. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think sure. I call it parachute reporting, right? The way that people just touch and go different places, maybe not pay attention to the league as best as they can, and maybe likely as they should. And I don't fault people for that in a way, unless you are supposed to be a reporter. Parachute reporting's the
Right,
worst.
right.
I would say, yeah. To your point of Bradley Cornell, like he's a guy that can get it done. I truly do believe that. I think he's a very capable coach. He's shown it last year after some departures of Gastag, McGlynn, like some pretty big names and within the union that it exited, and had a supporter shield winning season. The players that they brought in this year with Sari Larson, Gaynor Martinez, Ezekiel Alado, and of course those sound like random football manager names that you could just pick out of a bag. I get that, but so was Jovan Lukic, and he took the league by storm as a very very potent number 6. So I think Philadelphia having not even gotten a tie is maybe it's certainly shocking. And we were talking about schedule congestion as well. The union had such a favorable schedule within MLS to start the season, where going to DC, somewhere where they've won 6-0,
Sure.
6-0, 6-0 multiple times over the last couple of years, they go and lose.
Yep.
San Jose, who is kind of maybe settling back to reality, they get beat by San Jose at home. So you had some of these matchups that should have been points or at least draws, like New York City. They don't typically lose to New York City at home. They lose to New York City FC away. Never mind Atlanta giving Emmanuel Latela his 8th goal in 38 matches as a $22 million
Right.
player. Of course, it was the Union who gave him his first goal of the year. So a lot of really goofy things, but I think what also, again, and I keep repeating this because I'm trying to make sense of it all and also keep expectations where they should be. Up until last week, the only thing separating Cincinnati and the Union was one win, and Pat Noonan gets to buy every possible tool he wants. So,
Yeah.
and you want to talk about disappointment. Talk about the way they exited CONCACAF Champions Cup with that, gigantic loss in Mexico after having a 3-0 lead, I think. Yes, it's disappointing and can seem like easy to, as a Charlotte fan, to look at and say, yeah, that should be a win. Just put a W. I think it's more complex than that.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm gonna bounce around a little bit here with some of the questions, because some of this may just come up in natural conversation, but this could be a good point here. And our friend Russell Varner, he's come on the show a few times, and he always joke. We joke around. Russell always gives us like 5 or 6 questions, and so this is one of Russell's questions here. So, and you touched on a little bit, like he wanted to know like why has Philly struggled so much this season, and I don't know if there's anything else you want to kind of dig into or share, but like he asked like, what's the difference between last year and this year? I mean, and you mentioned some players coming on, but nothing's changed philosophy wise, and that's what he was asking here, or is it just players, or is it just kind of adapting to systems, or again, schedule congestion? Like anything else you want to kind of share of the struggles early on?
I think I will add 2 points to what already feels like a mountain of things that you could pick at that that are not going right for Philadelphia. Offensively, you have a guy like Kai Wagner disappear and move on to the championship, where he was responsible for 60 odd assists over his time in Philadelphia. Never mind the set pieces that he would put in, and really the respect that he commanded on the field in terms of the opponent, meaning he would draw defenses out to give the space for the Baribos and the Damianis of the world to be able to find lanes and opportunities to kind of dig into defenses. He's no longer there, so you're getting a more stagnant defense that knows there's not a guy who's going to pump a ball in for 30 yards out and find a head, so why should we go and press, right? There's that, especially when it's Ben Bender of all people playing left back. With all due respect, not a left back.
Well, I've got a fun question for that one later, but keep going. You're good.
We'll talk about that. But I think the final point to what maybe is going sideways in Philadelphia, I don't think that Cornell has really found his starting 11 yet, and some of it has been due to having to rotate out of congestion. But I don't know that there's really been a true backline set. I don't know that there's been a true forward partnership set yet. Ezekiel Alado, who comes in this offseason as the record transfer at a juicy $4.3 million or whatever the number was, which is pennies for most teams. And that's okay. I actually do appreciate the way the Union go and find gems out of nowhere. Apparently has some sort of issue where he disappears. Never mind, gets a red in the first game of the season at DC. So difficult start for him. So I think the chemistry hasn't been there, and they really haven't had time to practice up until now, right? Where today during the press conference, Cornell did stress just how helpful it was to have just about a week and a half with only Danley, Jean-Jacques, and the youth U.S. players disappearing for the weekend change away on international duty. So maybe something clicked. The joke around here is that whenever something goes wrong, and it happened after Nashville destroyed the Union and U.S. Open Cup play, or maybe it was Vancouver when they got trounced, Bradley Cornell says, "Let's go karting." So the joke around here is like, shit, things are going sideways. 0-5 start. Go karting and see if that fixes it for you. So maybe they went go karting. I'm not sure, but I would add those 2 points.
This is a very deep cut, but I don't know if you're an Office fan or not, but it's kind of like the episode where, Michael Scott has bad morale in the office. So he's panicking, trying to figure out activities, and he wants to take them down a mine shaft. And he's asking like if it's a ride and if they could do that down there. So it sounds like, hey, Philadelphia has a bad game. Let's go try to find a mine shaft near Scranton or something like that. And
well, next thing you know, Bradley Cornell is going to run a Pro-Am 5K race for curing ratings.
For the cure. So. There you go. And carbo load with some fettuccine Alfredo beforehand. That'll be good. So it's great. So you mentioned it earlier, and I was going to make this little joke earlier, and this is for the Charlotte fans a little bit, but you might appreciate it, is that, so you mentioned Ben Bender left back a little bit there. So there was a joke with Charlotte, and this was during St. Louis's opening game, first game of the season. So this is Charlotte's second season. And Christian Latanzio, who was our second manager, was trying to figure out what to do at left back. And he would tinker a lot with the roster and play players out of positions and almost outthink himself sometimes. And it's become an ongoing joke where, because in that game, he started Brant Bronico at left back against St. Louis, in St. Louis for that game. And it did not go according to plan, obviously, because we got beat on their first game at home. So, now Charlotte fans can talk about that. It's not just Christian Latanzio that tinkers like that. It's also Ben Bender that goes to play left back occasionally, right? So how is Ben Bender? Just for Charlotte fans that I will say Ben Bender had a little bit of a following in Charlotte, especially being like the first pick for the team expansion draft. He made some goals early on. How's he doing there in Philly?
He's doing well enough that he got a new deal through June 2027 for what it's worth. They seem to have some or put some value on him. And I totally understand that when you're working around, let's call it a sandbox when it comes to roster building and whatnot, without luxury taxes and all these other mechanisms that can really help you get more bang for your buck, or genuinely just break the rules and just pay a fine for him. I think he's totally an okay guy. But when it comes to being a starter for an MLS winning team, I'm not sure that that's there. And he's probably, I've never talked to him. I know my colleague and great friend, Todd Lewis of the Free Kick Pod, has done incredible work and just interviewing him, being Todd's mainly out of Maryland. And of course, watching him in college and all that, there's a connection there. Probably a perfectly fine guy, but again, I don't want to dismiss his career. I don't want to dismiss his pro potential, but
sure.
I think of him as honestly just if we have just depth as best as you can and just go eat some minutes. If anything, I see him as okay. Of course, they're not in it, but like U.S. Open Cup match, first round, go and play, or Leagues Cup, especially with this new format, we're eliminated. Go. Chew down some minutes, go enjoy running around for a bit, that type of player. I think he'll kill in USL whenever that move happens. I'm sure it's inevitable at some point. But he seems, like I said, he seems to have some value within Philadelphia to get a new deal just earlier this year through 2027.
Yeah. Again, similar to you, I don't want to kill or poo-poo his career or anything like that. It's great he got extended. There was a time in Charlotte where he was kind of in this limbo position where he got sent down to Legacy. He was way too good to play in Legacy, scoring goals left and right, just running around, and then come up to, first team, and then wouldn't even get minutes or would get just occasional sub minutes too. It's kind of like, I don't want to say purgatory. You're in that purgatory between either Crown Legacy, MLS Next, USL, or
That sounds
MLS.
That sounds like Chris Donovan, right? With Philadelphia, a guy who was played one game, I think last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was. Maybe it was last year. Played one game with Union 2, scored 4 goals against Atlanta United 2, and then would come in and potentially just chow down 5-10 minutes here, 10 minutes there at the end of games that were kind of just pointless based on the way that 2024 went or 2025 went. But right now, brand new number 9 at Lou City and USL, already has a goal, already has an assist in the early season, going on to the next round of the US Open Cup as a key starter for that team. Good for you.
It's awesome. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Exactly.
You have your home.
Yep. Exactly. So that's awesome. I hope Bender has some success and continued success in the league, just not against us this weekend. That'll be great. So, right. Russell asked this question too, and I guess this is coming from you, either someone that's been there, local in Philly, covered the Union for a while, but also with your work at MLS. He asked the question is like, how is Charlotte FC viewed by other organizations around the league? And there's a question here where he says, do they have any thoughts on Zoran's interview the other day about trying to emulate Seattle? And I don't know if you saw that or not, but he's been on our show before, and he's mentioned that like Seattle's a team that they've kind of wanted to, I won't say copy, but kind of admire and say, hey, this is how they've built a sustaining and successful franchise. And he's been on our show and said that. He's done it in interviews, but Russell just really wants to know, I guess, from your outsider's perspective, like how do you view Charlotte FC as an organization around the league?
I want to look this up super quick. I don't know what the amount was, but I'm intrigued. Pepo de la Vega, who is Seattle's like cornerstone, though, had a not so great injury streak. I don't know what his transfer value was when he came from Argentina, but certainly I think was one of their highest players paid transfer. So that's interesting. That's a really interesting comparison, because I think you go two ways, right? The general manager or sporting director at Toronto actually said that they wanted to be like Philadelphia in terms of finding value, finding consistency, building a system, and just plugging players in with a nice wave of replacements as hopefully you grow them and you move them on to their next step, etc. For Charlotte to say that they want to be to Seattle, to me, that's fascinating, because I think you can go two routes, right? The Union way, which is, again, to find these gems from very, very tiny places the way that they do it, which Toronto completely did not do this year, going to the Walker Zimmermans of the world.
Yeah, no, they did not.
Yeah, Mihailoviches of the world as well from Colorado. It's just fascinating comment to hear. But with Seattle, I would think that he's just eager to kind of maybe have a better brand recognition as well, honestly, compared to Philadelphia. But to the initial question, that is such a wonderful comment. I didn't even hear that. I know I put a lot of stock behind Charlotte. You know that from having jumped on with you and Swift, given Swift a lot of shit over the years. Excuse my language.
You're good. Yeah.
Whatever. But I certainly know that every single year, no matter what, Charlotte will be a tough game. Always away, meaning at your home, due to that surface, which is still synthetic, correct? If I recall,
it is correct. Okay. Yeah,
which is unbelievable. So that adds a different. The Union have never won there, if I recall correctly, too. So I always hold it to a high standard of, okay, gotta beat Charlotte away, and that's when you know you're having a good season. If you beat Charlotte away or you draw, fantastic. Because I hate to say it, and this is probably going to piss off some of your players, I am still amazed that Tim Ream is a starter within MLS.
Oh, man.
I am shocked that Tim Ream still a starter within MLS, never mind at Charlotte. With that turf, it's shocking to me that the dude can do it. So kudos to him. But I I think when you ask the fan base, they know it's a tough game. They understand it's a very very difficult away match, and even the times and when you all come here, it's always kind of a all right. Well, this is it's. I don't think it's ever been chalked up to being an easy W or anything like that. I think there's a serious sense of respect on like the DC Uniteds over the last couple of
Sure,
years, where
sure,
you
yeah,
can kind of see a 3-0 or a 6-0 coming on either leg. So I think there's a sense of respect for what you all are building, and certainly I always told you guys I should say underperform based on some of the names and faces that I see within there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it seems like this year might be a little different. It does kind of feel different.
It feels a little bit different, yeah. I mean, and it's funny. I remember you mentioned this probably, God, I mean, maybe, what, year and a half ago or so, when Tommy Wilson joined the
Yeah,
organization from
dude.
Philly, and it's
I
funny
still remember,
because
David. I still remember that entire interaction with you guys. It was like, no, guys, I'm telling you, this guy's going there, and you're like, and Swift was like, no, man, like I don't see it. I don't see it. It's like Matt Swift. I don't think you
I'm
want to
telling
question me on this one.
well, it's funny because like very early on before Tommy joined, Zoran always kind of used that Seattle comparison.
uh,
But then Tommy's joined, and
yes.
we've also kind of used the legacy pipeline a lot to either buy really young players from leagues and parts of the world that people don't know anything about. It's maybe some like Idan Toklamati, right? Like player
Yes.
that like what no one knew anything about. They spent, I want to say, like $1 or $2 million. I can't remember what the transfer fee was. Bought him super young, Stashman, Crown Legacy, had him there for about a good year. And then last year came on in his first game in Seattle on the road and caused an own goal to help bring a draw. And then all of a sudden, Patrick Agyemang gets sold. He goes into the starting 11. And now he's being touted as one of the better I think under 22 players in the league. So
Mm,
it's funny. It's like we want to dip our toes the Seattle method, but then we also have some of the, I don't want to say homegrown stuff yet, because we haven't had really that many homegrown players yet in Charlotte. But we tend to bring people up from legacy and develop and bring players up, kind of what the Wilson and Philadelphia did in the past, right?
yeah, that's his bread and butter. And I genuinely from being around, and granted it was once, but seeing, you see it once and you kind of believe in it, especially at the grassroots level. Seeing what the Charlotte Independents have built around there too, and seeing within their youth system, and even seeing the way that their first team operates, it's like, whoa, there's some really really good soccer around here. And even having seen it myself, having gone to soccer tournaments out there as a premier ball high school player, whatever, like there's some serious teams around there. So I think Tommy's got a, is it equal to maybe what the New Jersey, New York area can yield you? I don't know. I think it's still too soon to put give him a grade. But I think with patience, you guys will be churning out the Aronson brothers of the world, the Aaron Trusties of the world, the Mark McKenzies of the world. I've said that to you guys from the minute I knew that he was making his move over there. It just takes time. That's the problem. And patience is not great within any fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. So this next question, I'm going to tee this up because you mentioned Tim Ream, and I guess I'm kind of alluding to the second part of this question here. But Russell asked, what about Charlotte FC scare the Union, you think, on paper or coming into this weekend? And then the second part is, what would you think they look to take advantage of? And I'm assuming that might be Tim Ream, but I will not put words in your mouth. So I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, I think with this Union team, if we're going to look at, and we should really just look at this 2026 edition, seeing and you may chuckle a little bit, but I genuinely get a little fear seeing a Vargas and Azaha attack
Yeah.
this back line. Not so much the Frankie Westfield side of things, but a Felipe Ndinga, or if somebody does a really good patch up job on occupying whoever's partnered with Olwethu Makanya, who Olwethu's a baller. Please don't let my comments make you think otherwise. He's a fantastic player, but if you keep him busy, you options are Sari Larson, who I still believe probably has some sort of knock because I haven't seen the best from him, though he's not on an injury report. A Gainer Martinez, who the times that he has played, it's been against Defense Force and I think Club American. I think he was like a 45-minute sub against Club America. And then ultimately a right back that they're forcing to play center back and Nate Harriel. So if there's a second striker like a Toklamati or Zaha, they continue to switch, etc. Like that's going to be very difficult for Philadelphia. That I would say that's the main fear. When it comes to what can Philly try to exploit, I think it's Ream in terms of a Bruno Damiani who's incredibly
Yeah.
physical. Ezekiel Alado, he is apparently available, whatever the issue was with him ahead of the break while I was in Seattle. Um, that has come and gone. He's, I guess, available for selection. He is as pacey as they can get. It's just that the games haven't gotten stretched enough for him, which in this surface that you all play on a whatever weekly by weekly, whenever it's a home game, um, games get stretched pretty quickly on the turf. So I would think that an Alado can just outrun a Tim Ream with all due respect. And again, having watched some of these USMNT games this past week, I don't know that Tim Ream did himself many favors.
I'm a big Tim Ream fan, but no, I agree with you. I don't think this week's been going according to plan for him or the men's national team, but it's okay. We'll
Or
hopefully
Bolivia,
he'll be.
don't get me wrong, or Bolivia. So I'm also mourning in a way.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because you were mentioning the speed, and so one player I would ask, and maybe you can watch in this game is there's a new center back for Charlotte, and I don't want to say Charlotte's discovered someone early on again, kind of similar to Adil Simalanda, but we have a really young player back there that's paired with Tim Ream now, and that's Morrison Ajimane. So he's not related to Patrick Ajimane, but it's same name, but he goes by Morrison. And a very young player. And even though he made a mistake in his first start with an own goal, he is sneaky fast. He's physical. He's big. I think Charlotte has a potential secret weapon there a little bit. So I'll be interested to see how you guys attack. Because I think that's what Charlotte was struggling with early in the season was the Tim Ream situation. And then we had an Andrew Privet, right? We were trying to figure out who our starting center backs were. And they kind of were put onto an island, and Tim Ream's not the fastest guy in the world, and so if you leave him alone, you kind of get burned sometimes. So with Morrison, it seems like they communicate well, and they've been trying to work together pretty well. So
That's awesome.
Yep.
I was looking at the profile of Morrison. I'm like 6'4", he's pacey. That's a nightmare.
I'm not gonna say he's like super fast, but he's when you look at him, like you don't think he's gonna have that pace, but he does. And it's he's physical, he knows how to use his body, but he's a young kid. I mean, he's young, right? And so he's still learning, he's still getting acclimated in MLS. Again, another Crown Legacy player we bought last year and moved up during the preseason this year, and so training and did well. So I do have a question because you mentioned him earlier. So Zaha. So we were talking a little bit offline. I might bring this up, but coming from outsider's view, Wilfred Zaha is on loan here in Charlotte until summer, so until June. Zoran's kind of made some comments during the offseason and during the season that like he'd love to have Wilf here. They want to have conversations around contracts, but there's also been some times where Wilfred Zaha's been not as hot in terms of performance. And Zoran's come out and said, hey, Wilf needs to be able to produce goals and assists on a consistent basis and show why he needs to be a top paid player, right? And so if you were a betting man, from MLS perspective, do you think Wilfred Zaha's here after June, or do you think Charlotte has a chance to keep a player of that name in the United States?
Great question. I would think that what benefits Charlotte is that the league has not made the switch to the new calendar schedule.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case this year, I don't think that he would be above who knows, right? He sells jerseys, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like
correct.
I've seen his jersey as like one of the top 10
Yeah, top
consistently.
10. Yep.
So the marketing's there. That sort of pays for a good bit of it, I would think. I'm not a bean counter, but I would think that helps.
Sure.
But I also see the way in listening to press conferences and the odd report that comes out, and I get a sense that Mr. Zaha would probably be a perfect fit for an LAFC or an LA Galaxy. And the way that he likes American
Sure.
culture, I could totally see that. That I could see the allure of him thinking, do I want to be on countryside North Carolina, or do I want to be in sunny?
Family friendly, sir. We like to say family friendly.
I
Right.
say that
Yeah.
as someone who has a widowed sister-in-law in Apex slash that
Yeah.
area. So like I
Yep. Yep.
totally know what the area is like, which still shocks me that Zaha is around there with all due
Right.
respect.
Right.
That I could see him just saying, no, man, like I'm going to Los Angeles. That's where I belong. That's where the star, the glamour, former players like myself who have this cachet and have tons of money beyond the MLS money and that they've accrued over their career where he can go and just enjoy life. I could see that. But obviously the schedule is what it is. I don't know enough about some of these other transfer windows because I think his time in Europe is done. I would wonder if there's a chance that he could go to Saudi Arabia or some of these other teams abroad where
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
can get some serious generational wealth for doing, I think, relatively little and going and balling out. But if I was to say within MLS, I think you guys are probably the best opportunity that he has in terms of, I don't know. Do you think they put another designated player contract in front of him, or does he? I don't think he would take a pay cut.
So I think, yeah, I think they would make him a DP if they do. I mean, that's just me personally speaking, but it's weird. So the Wilfred Zaha situation is almost like a domino effect because we have another DP in Leo Abada that is underperforming and is not getting minutes. And
Yes.
they're trying, like, last fall, they were trying to unload, trying to sell. And do you keep him if you can't keep Wilfred Zaha and then try to get him minutes to supplement that and get, usage out of your DP? Or do you extend Wilf and then sell Abada and then try to bring another DP player in? Like there's a lot of things that can happen with the Wilfred Zaha contract situation that comes up. So it's going to be an interesting, I know it like, God, it feels like forever ago, but it's April 2nd. We're recording this. This will be out on April 3rd. You're basically got 60 days to figure out if you are going to keep Wilfred Zaha here, and or he walks.
He's also 33, and that's
True. Yeah.
where I'm kind of thinking, what do you do? I guess what you could do is sign him for the rest of this year, literally a 1-year contract.
Yeah. And then it correlates with the new window, right?
Yeah, so sign him for the rest of this season, and then that shortened 14 game season, and that's a wrap. That's an experiment, right? Done. And again, I don't. I'll have to ask around. Now I'm genuinely curious. Maybe I know somebody who maybe knows more than they should and willing to share. But with this one, I would think that that's probably the best that they can do because unless there's somebody that they have already mapped out in again 60 days. To have something in place to replace a designated player, those take some time to come up with, especially if you want impact. I don't know. How does the fan base feel about Zaha, by the way?
Yeah, I think Charlotte fans have really grown to appreciate Zaha. I think they see what he can do. You're going to have, just like any other fan base, you're going to have some fans out there that are just like, wow, this player stinks one week and the next week he's the greatest ever. You know what I mean? So, I think fans, when they first got here, they were not used to having a player that is as passionate as Zaha in terms of mouthiness and showing emotions on the field and those kind of things. But I think they've gotten used to him here. From all things considered, I think from what I've heard, is that his family does like it here in Charlotte. He does like it here in Charlotte. But again, going back to what your point is too, is Charlotte in LA, is Charlotte in New York, Charlotte in Miami? No, it's not. You know what I mean? So you never know. You never know with Wilfred Zaha, and it's hopefully they've made a good enough impression that he wants to stay. But we'll see.
I'm I don't. It's bad that I don't know this. He obviously plays, still gets significant minutes, if I recall correctly, from December and
Yep.
January with the Ivory Coast. Um, are the Ivory Coast? They are in the World Cup, right? Or no?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
No, they
I'm,
sure as hell are. So
oh, are they? Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Whoops.
they sure
Yeah.
are.
Okay.
The tournament. I think. Yes,
Oh, yeah, they are. Wow. Yeah.
it's bad I didn't know that, considering I'll be covering a game or two. But I feel like this expanded group, and this is a completely different topic, but this expanded World Cup has made it more difficult to follow. Never mind,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's the noise, if you will, of ticket pricing, everything that's going within the nation right now, politically, socially, etc., that has made it very difficult to actually keep up with. Uh,
Yep.
but to this point, Wilfred, I think, would want to, and Charlotte would want to have this done before he goes and balls out
Correct.
the World
Yes.
Cup. So if he has an incredible tournament, say somehow Ivory Coast sneaks into the round of 16, like
Right.
goodbye, like that's not happening.
No. He's got his eyes set on back to Europe if that's the case, is what he would be trying to do.
Which
Yeah.
is
It'll be
so
interesting.
fascinating. He would be such a great pickup. Say he has and I'm not trying to will this into existence, so forgive me, listeners, but say he has a great World Cup. He has games against Ecuador, Germany, and Curaçao. Somehow they get out of that group. I don't know. He would be a fantastic newly promoted player for a newly promoted team within France, for example. He would be like a Paris FC this year. He would have been a fantastic pickup, or a newly promoted Italian team, which is probably more of its pace at this point.
Yep. Agreed. It's gonna be something to watch. So I'll keep in touch with you over the next few weeks and see if you what little birdies you hear about this. So
Yes,
big good.
please do remind me if I don't reach out to you, because I want to let you know
Sweet.
if I heard something or not. Either way,
Yeah.
So I'm super intrigued now. You piqued my interest.
So we just talked about World Cup and potentially new window transfer, new season. Philip asked the question, and he mentions we've discussed it at length amongst ourselves. So we've talked about this in other episodes in our Discord, etc. But he wants to know what your opinion is on the restructured calendar and schedule formatting starting in 2027. Like, what's your overall thoughts, overall impression for the league in the new calendar window?
I have a lot of thoughts, but to be coherent, because I could go in 7 different ways. I genuinely do like it. I do like that it falls within what most, if not all, do. I think Japan was actually the perfect example of when they finally made the switch. They had a similar calendar year to what MLS did. They went ahead and had a shortened season, or maybe an extended break, to kind of sort out the switch, and they just really leaned their shoulder into it, to the point that some of the things that they were doing stuck. Where on a weekly basis, I think they live stream for free 4 games that you can punch into YouTube, and I put those at 5 in the morning when I'm getting changed, or I wake up
Yeah.
because I have a stomach ache or whatever after eating Chinese the night before. Whatever, I'm just watching Japanese soccer.
Yeah.
All that to say that I think this is a good change. Do I feel for the New Englands, Torontos of the world, Minnesotas, my God, Colorados, who are maybe gonna have to play some games in less than desirable conditions, of course. But I like to think that the MLS guys will be very kind with them when it comes to scheduling. Like, maybe there's a nice leg of away games to kind of help sort that out. But what doesn't really help is when you're also involved in competitions that have nothing to do with MLS, like CONCACAF Champions Cup, etc. So ultimately, I like it because it falls in line with everybody else. I think teams like Philadelphia have often been shortchanged because of what they're trying to sell, and when they have the opportunity to sell. I think of some of the players that they've sold, where, for Kai to have been sold in a January window, I think that's criminal. I think he would have probably squeezed another million and a half had he been sold over the summer, or during a window where teams were preparing rather than patching up. And I'm not trying to be a bootlicker for MLS here by any stretch of the imagination. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it that they put some money in my pocket, but I do think that there's genuinely going to be some serious benefits for teams, and I think for fans. in terms of maybe you have a better excuse to make a trip down south to a Charlotte, Pennsylvania, where this year was the exception, not the rule, with the amount of snow that we got over the winter. Maybe you come into a more mild game for at Subaru Park. So I'm excited for it, genuinely. I must admit, I'm super excited for this shortened season because it reminds me what about a lot of what South American teams do in terms of having
Mm.
Apertura and Clausura tournaments where it's 17 game mini season, 17 game mini season, and then those two sort of go and they crown
Oh,
champions
cool.
for each one, and then
Yeah.
the two winners of each one sort of go at it for like the
Yeah.
bigger award per se. So like, and after each 17 game, you kind of restart, you reset the points. So
It's
I'm
cool.
actually really intrigued to see how that goes with 14 games. Shit, I don't know, man. Maybe that becomes a norm in the future in many years, but I think there might be some excitement behind that.
Yep. I know. I'm excited just because it helps align with the transfer windows more too. Zoran, again, being on the show in the past, and he's been vocal about it. He's like, man, if I had another week or two, being a sporting director, general manager, he's been very vocal about if I had another week or two, I probably could have had another deal or two come to fruition here for Charlotte, MLS, etc. Because of that alignment. So
Yeah, he said that to you guys 2 or 3 years ago. Because when I remember
he
texting you
did.
guys, I was
Yeah.
cleaning the back of my fridge. I'm like, dude, this episode's fucking fantastic. I had to stop cleaning the dog hair off of the back of the fridge. Like this is, I had to sit
It's
down and
great.
kind of like start taking notes. I'm like, guys, these are incredible things. I wish you would have asked this, like being such a prick about it. But like you guys, that's what I wanted to comment on. I know we're like going all
Yeah.
over the place, so I hope your listeners don't
No, it's
mind.
fun.
But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
there's something to be said about the level of transparency that Charlotte has within the team with you as I don't know how you consider what you consider your content, whether it's fan press or press period. I know that's sort of a line that a lot of places try to straddle.
Sure.
Um, but the amount of transparency that you guys get is unbelievable. I die for that around here.
Yeah. It's something I definitely don't take for granted because there will be eventually a day when that ends. Hopefully not, but like general managers leave, sporting directors leave, owners happen, whatever it is. But it's been great from the technical side, the transparency and the communication that they've had, not just with us, but even other platforms within Charlotte. Like you said, I think they know their place, and that the I don't want to say niche fans that we have, but they understand that like this is what some people want. They want to hear this, so we're going to give it to them. Versus because they've got to compete with the Hornets, the Panthers, the Hurricanes, the college basketball, college footballs of the world. There's a lot of fandom here in the Carolinas, and they have to compete with that. And how do you do that? It's build relationships and transparency and be in the community.
And that's it. And this is not me taking a royal shit on the Philadelphia Union, but like hear me out, right? Like this is a team,
Right.
this is an area where you have the Eagles, the Flyers, the Phillies, the Sixers. Those are legacy teams, never mind the sporting um, sentiment or feel of the city, which is I like to think bar none when you look across the sporting sphere and all of sports in the United States. That Philadelphia, I often say the worst thing that happened to the Philadelphia Union, if you work there, especially on the sporting side, the worst thing that happened to them is that it was actually that the team happened in Philadelphia because the fans just, they either don't care because they're stuck with their other four teams, or
Right.
B, the ones that do stick with it have the same amount of behavior, I guess, the same behavior as they are fans for the other teams. It was like zero patience.
Right.
It's win now or get the heck out type of feeling,
Yeah.
which is difficult in a sport where it's all about reloading. And I'll be a bean counter for a second. This sport in MLS, it's not financially stable. It really isn't. It's more stable than most leagues. I think of Bruno Damiani's agent, and it's one quote that's stuck in my brain when the transfer happened. Bruno Damiani had offers across the world to go elsewhere. But what really pushed him to Philadelphia was, sure, the culture of the team, the staff of the team, etc. But his agent said on a radio show in Uruguay, playing in MLS, it's like working for Coca-Cola every single week. you know the money's going to come through. Whereas you go to a Brazil, you go to an Argentina, you go to somewhere in Europe, Africa, there might be stoppages of you getting your money. Portugal, I think of Reggie Cannon, right? Like the dude was at Boa Vista, and I don't think FC Dallas has even seen that money. I believe that's where he was, or maybe it was Colorado. I can't remember, but like it's not it's fiscally, it's a difficult sport to be profitable, and I don't think any team really is. A lot of those values that you see in reports from Forbes or Sportico, which I appreciate those people, 95% of those values is just real estate. And we know real estate is none nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's such a, moving so far away from what we were talking about. I just genuinely appreciate the hell out of Charlotte understanding where they are, because the Union, yes, they sell out every week, but they sell out an 18,000 person stadium, which is great. Not as big as other teams for sure, but I think that has sort of emboldened them to think, don't have to do much. Like that's kind of
it. Yep. I hear you. So I've got two questions here, and then I've got some fun questions after that. So we got some good fun ones here for you. I've already gave some warning on it. So Matt Nolan asked, and this is just an inside joke. He says, we won 6-0 last week when we really didn't, but it's okay. You do go gift differential. It's whatever. It's fine. In addition to winning the Supporters Shield, which is guaranteed to him, would you rather win the MLS Cup playoffs or US Open Cup? Which one stands out more and for a feeling for you? Which one means more to you? And I promise you, I won't clip this and put it on US Open Cup subreddit, whatever,
Yeah, no, I've been super thoughtful about the way I answer this or anything that deals with this. The Union fandom put out a protest when the Union were not part of US Open Cup a few years ago. And I say protest in like the lightest of ways possible.
Sure.
And fast forward, the Union get the US Open Cup. Indy 11 come into town and whoever else it was. That fan section had fewer than 100 people, 120 people, which is such a shame. Such a shame. And I say that as someone who's fortunate enough to go to these games as a press member. Of course, like I'm fed, I get coffee, I get Coca-Cola products, which I would have thought the Union would be a Pepsi company. If you know what I'm talking about. So I get it from that perspective, and everything's so expensive. But it seems like the U.S. Open Cup is not really it's not really working in terms of enticing some of these MLS teams. I know that they've worked with the prize money and the bonuses that players get in terms of increasing them, but it still remains that winning Leagues Cup yields so much more money for the players and for the teams because there's just so much more in the pot. But when it comes to the importance, I think it's awesome that everybody gets a shot at US Open Cup. I just don't know that teams really try. I mean, even watching some of it yesterday where I saw Hartford go and put a B team to play against another USL team was shocking to me. So to see a USL team kind of throw in the towel, it's kind of, what are you doing? Like this is supposed to be where you go thrive.
Yes.
So there's that. And I think on a selfish side, having witnessed, not in person, unfortunately, I remember holding Benicio, my youngest, in my arms as I was watching probably what will be one of the best games I've ever watched in my life in that 2022 final against LAFC against the Union, with the Gareth Bale goal and then the penalties and all that. I think that the Alejandro Bedoyas would agree that they want that cup. They want that star on top of the crest. That's the one that gets etched into a kit every single year. A U.S. Open Cup patch, I don't even know that they do a patch for the winner if they're an MLS team or anything like that. I don't know that there's any actual recognition, which is maybe a different topic altogether. If anything, I remember MLS doing their opening season like graphic with the cartoons or whatever, and they put every single trophy except the U.S. Open Cup in the one image, and it's just like, even an MLS team won it. Like, you chose not to put it on there. What are you doing? So, yeah, I would say the league playoffs, which I hate that it's a separate tournament. I wish it was. Again, they're making the shift to the European calendar. Take the European way that they win. Just top of the league, rip the Band-Aid. Don't do these playoffs that are just a month long.
Yep. I agree with you on both fronts. I love the story of the Open Cup. It has great feels. Charlotte's actually playing the Independents in the Open Cup next week, so it's the first time that they've had some closed door friendlies, but they've never played officially in a competitive match. So like, there's some coolness to the Open Cup, and it's Open Cup. There's the uniqueness of like, dude recording it off of a cell phone and on a bleacher on YouTube. It just. There's some uniqueness to it, so which helps the allure. But I do agree with you. I think teams and players go harder for MLS Cup or even Leagues Cup, to your point, because of the pot. Yeah. So
my goodness, you talk about the memes and the videos, the clips that come out of US Open Cup were like, I think it was Westchester United against another team at Westchester. Again, not too far from me, not too far from where you travel for work now. YSC Academy. I play at YSC Academy some Sundays, like I generally play in the same field that the US Open Cup plays. And just seeing like 105th minute, ridiculous foul, benches clear, people get thrown reds left and right. It's like, no, you don't get that anywhere else. Never mind. Some there's just so much nonsense that happens to it where like I appreciate it. But unfortunately, I until every single team that jumps into it takes it seriously. And sure, you could say the same about England, right? Like Manchester Cities of the world don't try until 2-3 rounds into it. So
correct.
I get it both ways.
Yep. So the last serious, well, I guess all of them are serious, but the last serious non funny question, Nietzsche. So and this goes back to players a little bit. So she asked the question, who do you feel from you? Well, I'll use Philly first. Who do you feel from Philly is underrated that Charlotte fans should watch out for in this game? Or even if you were basically telling Dean Smith who to watch out for on Philly's squad, who's underrated or who's a player to watch for you?
I think the bag's out on Jovan Lukic. Hasn't had a great season. I think the bag has been out, or the cat has been out of the bag for a Danley Jean-Jacques, who's going to the World Cup with Haiti. Congratulations to him. Again. It's awesome. I think if I was to mention one player for him to watch, because he hasn't played a lot, has had whatever issues he's had and hasn't been available, whether it was a red card or whatever's going on within the four walls of the Union, Ezekiel Alado. Knowing and hearing from sources what they like about him within the four walls of the Union, when his head's on straight and he focuses and does what he's supposed to do, this is a player that could have gone to England. This is a player that was scouted by Club Brugge out in Belgium. This is a player that could have been in the championship right after or right before, making the choice to come to Philadelphia to develop his game and then hopefully make the jump. This is a player with serious talent, physical, speed, finishing. Just hasn't been able to string it together, which might be a he-him issue, but also something to be said about, the rest of the team, the spine of the team not gelling yet. So I would say, Dean, there's probably not a lot of film on Ezekiel Alado by design, but he's a guy that's kind of, should he play, could cause some trouble.
Got it. That sounds good, man. So, ready for some of these hard-hitting, fun questions here? We got some good ones here, and I'll give some context to a few of them too. So,
sure.
So the first one's from Paul, and so he wants to know what your top 3 Philadelphia game day promotional giveaways are or were. So that comes up. So Charlotte this year has leaned very heavy into game day promotional stuff to help sell some tickets, what? And so they had a Serminti, basketball jersey. They have a party shirt every year, which is like a Hawaiian shirt, but it's all distracted. It's got Sermintis all over it and all sorts of things. Like it's fun stuff, bobbleheads.
Yeah.
Things like crowns, the different giveaways to kind of just entice fans to come. The bobbleheads are always a cluster. People go crazy over the bobbleheads and the party shirts. So he wants to know, I guess, from your experiences, does Philly do giveaways? And if they do, what are some of the memorable ones for you?
Yeah, they they continue to do them, though, again, with being able to sell out most of the games that they do anyways. I don't really know that they lean on them as much. And I must admit, as someone who retired from being a season ticket holder once this press stuff really took off, and I hate to say it, but like I can sneeze and get into any stadium, which is great. It's wonderful. I built that credibility. Um, I don't get to see everything that gets tossed out. That said, what I do remember as being some of the cooler giveaways. I remember they gave armbands for Pride Night, which were really cool because they were like
cool.
captain armbands. Genuinely,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like 1-to-1 to what the players or the two players were wearing on the field, but it was cool because everybody was walking around with a captain's armband. And I don't care if you're gay, straight, trans, whatever. Like, do what you want. I think it's cool to have a captain's armband. In fact, I have it somewhere back there
awesome.
in my whatever little shelf.
Yeah.
They really like Fang's birthday, and I maybe we might talk about him in a little bit.
We were, yeah.
But like in the plaza, they do little giveaways for like, oh, it's Fang's birthday, and they give like a little cone hat that hits like Fang's face, like what you would wear to like a party hat.
That's cool.
Which is kind of cool. And one that's near and dear to my heart, not because I can't recall if you or Swift or even Corey. I've never asked Corey specifically, or haven't heard from both of you guys, but I know I have a cousin incredibly close to me who is a military member when they do the military service day, which is maybe becoming increasingly hard to be patriotic right now. They typically do like a cool coin, kind of like a coin that you would flip to start the match, the referee coin. So it's cool to collect them for him and give them to him as like, I know you can't make it. You're all the way in Baltimore, but I was thinking about you, and this is a pretty cool little token on a yearly basis that they do or have done.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, they did the Pride Captain's Band. I think I've got that in my cool. shelf in the other room. And Charlotte always, I think until this year, Charlotte's done a giveaway coin every year for that. So I think that's been a good giveaway. And then the party shirts, the crowns, those kind of things has been definitely fan favorites. I'm trying to think what I'm trying to glance over at my stuff and my bookshelves and figure out what my favorite giveaway was. I guess the party shirts are up there. Those are definitely fan favorites. Oh yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's that, and then I was able to get one. They've also done kind of like the craze of the sports cards or like the Pokemon cards. Players that they have like a little pack, that type of thing.
That's awesome.
But here's the 2023 edition of the military thing. So it's kind of awesome. Cool. If you're a referee, you could genuinely use this. Otherwise, it's a cool little thing to just have to toss around. What I wish they did, and they're doing it this year, and it's not a giveaway. This is more of a shop item. With it being the 255th, they're doing specialty pins for every single home game, I believe.
Oh, cool.
That you can go out and buy. And I'm a big pin person. I like collecting. So like Seattle, we were talking about.
Yeah.
That right there is, I'm very happy.
Is that the Olympics one?
A certain player gave me one of his. That was at the U.S. Olympics last go around. So that's awesome. Pretty cool. Like little. I don't know. I'm a big pin person, so I think it's cool that they're doing that type of stuff. But that's not a giveaway, so maybe it doesn't qualify as an answer.
That's okay. Yeah. No, I love it. That's great. Yeah. I'm sure I'll get roasted in the comments at one point because I'm sure there's some giveaway that I forgot about. But the bobbleheads and party shirts are always some of the big things that they always do every year.
Do you guys do the summer scarves? I think those are kind of a waste, honestly. Like the thin fabric ones.
I think they do. I think they have done that in the past. With they did a Bojangles one before, I think. Like a Bojangles summer scarf, I think. So
I would pay for a Bojangles one, man. Listen, that's
awesome.
That's such a hard. The Cajun bites. Oh, I miss the Cajun bites. Every time I would drive prior to my brother passing away when he was in North Carolina, we would always make a pit stop at a Bojangles on the way down, just because like. Sure, there's one in Reading, but the one in Reading
it's not the same.
Bites, right? You need same with I'm yet to try it. but I want to so bad. I've heard so many things, and you guys would probably laugh at me for this. Cookout. I've heard Cookout.
Oh yeah, I
Fantastic.
am all about some cookout. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, don't even get me started. Oh yeah, I am. Yes, that is totally up my alley. So, but people know the show. We have this ongoing joke about my obsession. I love corn dogs.
Yeah,
Cookout does.
I know about the corn dog. Yeah,
Yeah, Cookout has the sides of you have sides. Your main plate is a side, and I can get a corn dog as a side. Like, what place gives you a corn dog as a side? It's crazy. I know it's not good for you at all.
No,
but
you look healthy.
Yeah, it's great, man. So yeah, no, I think Bojangles. We've joked around that Cookout should get involved somehow. I think they've done a few other things out there, but for sure, I'll send you some pictures of some fun giveaways after the show. But,
Yes, please
awesome.
and thank you.
Yeah. So speaking of Fang, so Russell Varner asked, and it's funny because like Instagram and Reels, and you can see what people like, everything like that. Yeah. I can tell when this clicked for Russell because there was a reel that popped up about how underrated Fang is in terms of a Philly mascot of all the sports, and Russell liked it. So I'm like, oh yeah, this sparked the conversation. So he just says, why is Fang? For those who don't know, is Philly's mascot. He's their Sermenti. Why is he so overlooked, I guess, in the Philly sports fandom, or I guess in the U.S.? Because Russell seems like he's a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're the fifth sport out of the five sports in the city. And it's also even tougher when the sport who is probably number 4 in terms of hockey has Gritty, and that's a mascot that has just fucking taken over, man. They really kudos to the marketing team, the socials team for the Flyers, because they have one mastermind that really leans into it and leans into it hard in terms of the persona of Gritty being this creature monster that genuinely is a monster of a character to people.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Where Fang is very much like my kids hate Fang, by the way. They cry, or they used to.
Oh yeah, really? Yeah.
Rafael was 3 for his first game, I believe. Granted, he was born like March 14, 2020. So like we went into the hospital and COVID literally happened in front of us with President Trump like shutting down the country.
Wow.
So
crazy.
He was delayed by quite a bit compared to other people to getting to a game. But they would just cry every time they saw this anthropomorphic snake coming down the hallway or going around the bleachers or on the field. But Fang's a cool little character. I mean, it's a cool looking design, has a 6-pack for whatever reason underneath the jersey, wears cool Adidas shoes. But by all accounts, it should be a bigger success of the team. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It should make more sense, but I think you throw Fang into any other market, he might be the biggest star if you throw him to Sporting Kansas City. He might be the best player.
1,000%. I agree with both of those takes there. So I agree. So speaking of Gritty, because Will asked this question, and this is just a fun one. So he said, would you rather fight one Gritty-sized duck? He always asks this question, by the way, with ducks. Yeah. He's this fight thing. Would you rather fight one Gritty-sized duck or 50 duck-sized Gritties? Which one do you think you have a better chance of there?
I would think the 50-sized Gritties, because I would get a lot of satisfaction of kicking 50 faces like that in a row and punting them at least 20, 30 yards, every single one of them. I agree. Tired towards the end, but there's something about that creature and how chaotic it is. If I would think that Gritty's the type of personality that would want to start a riot into an empty room. Like just madness, just madness all around. That I would be just so satisfied out of kicking the shit out of 50 mini ones.
I agree. Just his face and the eyes and everything. It's great. Yeah, it's amazing. So Eric's got 2 here, and we'll close that with these 2. So the first one, and it's speaking of food. So he says he wants you to give us one specialty food item that's served at any of the Philly stadiums or arenas that we must absolutely try if we ever come visit in Philly. So you can use Eagles, Flyers, sure, Phillies, whoever. What do you think, and what should someone check out?
So again, even when I was a season ticket holder, I was on to the scam that is buying food at stadiums. And I say that as someone who has 2 kids. So
Correct. Yes.
we've always eaten before going into the stadium as best as we can. And inevitably, that they want ice cream in a little helmet, or they just see somebody with popcorn and suddenly popcorn's the best thing in the world that they
Correct.
absolutely have to have. So that said, I can't think of anything that the Union have that's unique. However, my God, are there 2 things that I can immediately recommend? So I think you had asked for 3, so I'll give 2, and then I'll just throw in a third for funsies. There's nothing like a playoff baseball game in Philadelphia, and how nervous I get, especially the ones I've been in person. I kid you not that I think they were like $5 or $6, maybe 7 during the playoffs, because they can spike it up a little bit price wise. Sure. I must have eaten when it was the Padres against the Phillies 2 or 3 years ago. I'll have to text my cousin and ask him when that was, and he can vouch for me. In 9 innings, I might have had 9 or 10 pretzel braids.
Nice. That's awesome. There you go.
They're like yay big, and they're perfect to just like rip apart and just kind of like, chew while you're like, a little nervous.
Yeah.
But the best thing about them is, and anybody who's made bread or has eaten bread that's very, very fresh knows this, they come frozen and not lost on me. They're not braiding pretzels in the back of.
They're not doing that right there.
No, they're not. They're not Annie Ann's in the back of Citizens Bank Park. I get that. But it's this Philly bakery or company that they have there that, sure, they come frozen, but like they cook them just enough, and then they finish in the warming box that when you get them, it's just like this perfect late September, early October. I can pick apart and just like be a little warm in my hands, a little warm in my mouth, that type of thing. So I would say the pretzel braids are great, even in the summer. Second, you haven't experienced a Philadelphia game, and they've eventually made their way to the Union, but the Chicken Pete's crap fries. So imagine just French fries, and they just it actually sounds more of a Maryland thing when you really think about it. They just put Old Bay on top of it, a little bit of salt as well, so you get double the sodium in case you're not healthy from all the corn dogs you're eating as your side at cookout. So you get that extra dose of sodium, but they also come with this little cheese sauce that's very, very good.
Nice.
So I recommend that. And I would say the best selection of alcohol at any one of the sporting arenas, I would say, is probably the Phillies as well. Just because they have the dumb beer that I like in terms of having not fancy, but better than Coors Light, Miller's Light, whatever. I don't think there's anything better than in a 90-degree day, just cracking open a 16, 18-ounce Stella, just hearing that noise and just little gulps here and there. Nothing better than that. And sure, that can be any stadium, but it hits a little different in Philadelphia. So I welcome anybody who you included, Matt as well. Yeah. You may have to prep me with Matt. You can come whenever, David. Matt, I need a little more prep. Or Corey, to whenever you guys come to Philadelphia, you pick a game. I'll go wherever. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. It's funny. My goal is to go up to see a few of the baseball stadiums, especially since I'm now up in that area occasionally. So yes, I will message you separately and figure that out. But
make it a Sunday. Cool. Make it a Sunday, and I'll take you for free because we have the Sunday package.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I got you, man. I'll send you some messages here. So, and then it's Eric's second question here, and you may have mentioned this earlier, but he says, if you ever make a trip to the Carolinas, which I know you say you've done in the past, right? But what's your go-to food stop that he has to make sure that you can't find in the Philly area? So I don't know if there's anything Bojangles you kind of mentioned, like there's one somewhere in Reading. I think Reading, right? But yeah. Is there anything that sticks out to you that you're just like, I got to get in the Carolinas?
So this is going to be a little bit me opening up to my life. My dad's a chef at one of the country courses in the Carolinas. He's the head chef.
Nice.
So growing up, we were incredibly fortunate that we ate very, very well.
I bet. That's awesome.
My older brother, before he passed away, picked a lot of that up from my dad. So whenever I would go down to visit, we were eating gigantic steak with, rice and yuca, which is a South American thing, etc. All that to say that, like, we never really went out when we were out in North Carolina.
I don't blame you. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that said, there were a couple of spots that if we were going and my dad wasn't readily available, we would go out to eat. And one of them escaping me right now, but I'll start off by saying that I'm just typing this in. The craft brewery vibe in the Charlotte area / North Carolina is, I think, it has survived the shrinking that we've certainly seen here in Pennsylvania. I think it survived the shrinking.
There's been some, but it's still surviving for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it is. That's the one I wanted to mention. So I would say the craft brewery scene, which Mark Kelkenberg, a really great friend, family friend at this point, lives in Charlotte or has lived in Charlotte, just took me to a couple of breweries here and there. And it's just like, my God, like, how do you have a wood oven to make pizzas to go with this incredible beer that you guys craft yourselves? Like,
yeah.
This is incredible. So I would say that. And I don't know what it is about that area. Maybe it's a hotbed, but Peruvian like chicken around there is also very, very good. I think I stopped at a Machu Picchu once or twice. I don't know if that's like a mom and pop or like a franchise place. But I remember, I had to look it up. I think it was Machu Picchu or Viva Chicken. I can't remember, one of the two that it was.
Viva Chicken. My wife loves Viva Chicken.
So I'm not off base here. Like that's okay. Yeah. It must have been that one.
It's good.
I remember being even, near the Raleigh area. It's like you get Peruvian chicken just like everywhere.
It's so good.
Yeah, and sure, you can get more than just chicken, but there's nothing better than like a quarter chicken, a little cup of, the little mound of rice that they put in there, and then like the fried plantains, which kind of hits home as well with my South American roots. So I would say those are the two things that I would immediately go after. Get a nice light beer and some fresh made pizza from a brewery or some Peruvian food somewhere.
There you go. That's something, man. I just ate dinner right before the show, and you're making me get hungry again just thinking about it. So I think I know I'm going to take my wife for dinner tomorrow. Yeah,
go in your freezer, get a corn dog or two.
There we go. That'll ruin my craving real quick. So it's awesome, man. Well, Jose, I know there's no Corey, no Swift here this time. We will get them on next time for sure. So, but no, I appreciate you coming on here and talking shop, talking Philly, entertaining our silly questions from our listeners. It's been fun. So anything that you want to just close us out on, anything you want to plug or share, or I guess predictions for this weekend for Philly and Charlotte, anything else you want to kind of close us out with?
I genuinely think that Charlotte should win this match. I still think that the Union are a little discombobulated. I don't know that they reloaded exactly the way that they probably had hoped and meaning specifically, and I didn't mention it earlier, but like, how do you replace a Quinn Sullivan? They haven't. Especially with that injury. So that's one thing I forgot to mention. Aside from that score prediction, just genuinely thankful to maybe, I know you joked, but if it's true, which I sense there's some truth to it, just how welcoming your community specifically and the Charlotte community has been, because it does genuinely seem that every time I show up on this podcast, which is great, it's an honor, within like an hour or two later when you guys release, it's like, 5 people followed you. And it's like, Min City Collective. It's like, you guys are so sweet. Like, there's no need to follow me, but like, I really appreciate it. That everybody's been super kind. Everybody is just great conversation. And I don't know if there's something about the Southern hospitality, whatever, which is very, very real. I really appreciate all of you as both fans, readers, and just genuine humans, and you and Swift and Corey. Just genuinely thankful for even having the ability to just text you out of a whim. It's something that's special. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure. I will tell you, we do like our occasional trash talk whenever fans or opposing fans come. But the cool thing is, and to your point, like I'm always, I don't want to say marveled by it, but it is great to see, because like Charlotte's got this tailgate lot and all the different supporters go to it. But like I'll use Mid City Collective and other supporter groups. They always welcome opposing fans, and it's like they want them to come and see and meet people. We did this kickoff show against for the first home game, and it was kind of like the night before party, and it was at our brewery, and we did a live show, and it was against Austin FC, and they invited Austin supporters, and there was Austin fans there mingling with us, and they did like a raffle, and some Austin fans won some Charlotte FC like Met City gear and stuff like that, which is hilarious for them to see. And then they brought their screaming chicken sound effect thing for the show. But like I definitely will never take that for granted, just the friendliness of the fans here, because they do genuinely. There's some bad apples every once in a while in life in general, but overall, the Southern hospitality and the people here do care for other people, which is great. So, and it's great.
I totally mean it. If anybody who is a listener and David, you and Matt and Corey can vouch for, more than happy to meet anybody in the Philadelphia area. Should you be traveling or skipping a jump in between flights or whatever, and you have 4 or 5 hours here, like, reach out. I am more than happy to do so. So again, just, it's so nice to see the sport starting to yield these types of relationships, and it's just great that it's with you guys.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll be sure to we'll stay in touch. I'll shoot you a message and figure out either a Union game or a Phillies game or something. We'll get together here soon. But thanks for joining the show again. If you guys haven't gotten a chance to follow Jose, follow him. He plugged it at the beginning of the show. Join his Substack. Subscribe, follow wherever he's following, and then Jose, remind them again where they can find you one last time.
Yeah, at Jose R. Nuñez 91 is my Twitter handle. And I failed to mention, I jump on very often with Todd Lewis on the Free Kick podcast, who I think genuinely, maybe I'm more of no longer a rotating chair, but a second chair on the podcast. Yes. Todd does an incredible work in prepping, writing, etc. I'm just a ugly face that shows up and talks ball with him. So listen in when you can. It's not bad. We try to keep it to a nice tidy hour every single episode. And I look at our time here, hour 22. So I hope you guys don't mind.
We love it, man. But honestly, I hate to say this. This is still a shorter episode compared to sometimes we get very long winded from time to time, and just in general. So this is good. This is good. So awesome, man. Well, no, check him out, Jose. Always a pleasure to have you here, man. And good luck this weekend. Have fun, and then we'll chat soon.
Cheers.